Okay, welcome to the, basically the, I guess, conversion video, pre-conversion video for any decisions. I'll probably put this at the end of the, playlist for Victoria 2. This is just going to be like a before and after. This is the world as it existed at the beginning, basically the end of, of Hue 3. I could go into the game and actually show it, but it's a little bit easier to do this way. This is a very interesting situation here in the United States, North America more generally, where that ended up unifying the entire continent and getting that from Russia, and we released our colony. So yeah, and surprisingly Yucatan survived the entire game. The United States Central America did not, which is atypical, I find, for Victoria 2 games. They usually stay together unless somebody attacks them, but they broke up. Japan managed to conquer Korea and a little bit of Manchukuo, so they were pretty powerful, ended up being a major power. We never fought them. We fought most of the other major powers. We never fought Japan, and we never fought... I don't think we fought the United States. We may have, though. Of course, the situation in India and China was pretty much determined by the Turkish Caliphate and us. And then Mongolia not only ended up surviving, ended up a major power, so that's interesting. Whereas the Guangxi clique, who I actually expected the Mongolia or the Guangxi clique to, however you pronounce that, to unite. And I kind of expected the Turkish Caliphate to lose, because of their weird, things. But it ended up being, the Turkish Caliphate ended up with, the top spot there. And then we had the rest of things of India. Polotsk ended up surviving until the very end, but they got cut in half at the end. So, yeah. Rome ended up retaking most of the Italian peninsula. They lost a little bit to the Papal States. And then Austria ended up unifying Germany at the expense of Bohemia. Who I actually expected to do really well, but they ended up getting a lot of bad wars, and Sweden ended up forming Scandinavia, who ended up joining the German Empire for some reason. I'm not sure why. Sardinia and Piedmont got completely destroyed by me helping France. France is this tiny province, and they ended up owning like this. I could pull up the autosave, but I just kind of want to keep things going in this. And our friends, the Knights of Jerusalem, ended up growing a little bit, so that's pretty great. We ended up taking quite a bit of Africa. So, yeah, stuff is quite a bit different. So let's take a look at the end result. And here we go. The end result of the game. So this is what we're going to be using for the conversion. I'll probably end up doing it manually unless there's a good converter out there. I haven't really looked because I've been busy doing other stuff. As I said, Japan. Their borders stayed pretty much the same, except for the Korea thing. But yeah, this is the major difference. The Turkish Caliphate actually taking land off of Russia. And Polotsk ending up small, and they are being eaten right now by rebels. So Polotsk is probably going to go the way of the dinosaur. Azerbaijan ended up free, and they are pretty much completely free at the end because Rome didn't have any cores on them. And of course, we are going to be releasing. I think I'm going to be releasing everything south of this. With the exception of Zanzibar, because that's one of our major centers, I guess. I've decided arbitrarily. And Madagascar, and of course our islands. Zanzibar also because it has islands. And of course we have Australia and New Zealand. We might. I was thinking about giving this to Australia. That seems like the logical step to take there, but right now I'm just going to keep it. I was thinking of releasing these. It seems like a good idea for balance reasons, but I'll have to actually look and when I'm doing the conversion to see. Oh, yeah, Iceland ended up having this. Shetland Islands. Is that? I don't know. I don't know islands. And America's completely free of rebels, so I'm not going to be doing anything to them, since they have overcome their difficulties. And they probably had the hardest game. They started out as New England, and completely united the continent, aside from Yucatan and Central America. But they have most of this in their sphere. So, kudos to them, I suppose. And then the German Empire has done really well. So, the way I want to do the conversion, to cut to the chase, I suppose, let's stop babbling, is I want to, first of all, do cleanup. This is going to be Belarus. This is going to be Bulgaria, or whatever it's supposed to be. I'm going to give Ukraine this. Russia's been doing really badly, so I think they would lose a war with Ukraine simply because they lost a war with Lithuania. So, and Ukraine is a lot stronger. And thinking about it, I probably should give this to Ukraine too. And just have Russia, because Russia just lost they won the war with Germany, but they didn't participate very much in it. So, I'm just going to do the conversion and they lose these. We'll say they sign some kind of treaty or something with that sort of thing. Turkish Caliphate I'm not doing anything with. They did brilliantly. I'm going to be giving this to Mongolia. And I'm going to be setting up a conflict with Mongolia and other people in the region, because well, the Eastern War is pretty well set up. Japan against Mongolia and Turkey, and then Russia is the wild card in that. But Manchukuo is going to be caught in the middle. I believe they're in... Oh, they're actually allied with Mongolia. That changes things. But Japan's not allied with anybody, so I guess it's this against Japan. Because, I mean, Japan's got this port here, and all kinds of stuff. And they're communist, and these guys aren't communist. I think. No, they're not. Okay. And we, I don't think I want to do anything except splitting it off, but I don't know how I'm going to do that yet. These are just reactionaries, so there's no really danger of that. And there's no rebels here, and there's been no major conflicts here, so I think I'm going to keep everything here the same, at least for now. This, I'm going to split this into two countries, this one and this one, and I'm going to make this a separate country too, because Occitania doesn't even have access to this. It can't even reach it. So, oh, that's where it was. The other place that they've got from. No, they had that before. I don't know. So we'll have potential to have an American front to this war, if we can orchestrate it properly, with Chile trying to conquer the continent with their communistic stuff, and then Brazil's fascist. As you can see, we were allied to them because I didn't want Chile doing anything. And then we have another communist here with Colombia, and then this dictatorship, more fascists. Obviously, the European powers, one of which is also fascist. Yeah. And most of these are democracies. So, democracy really only exists in North America. The only country that was democracy in Europe got destroyed with Sardinia, Piedmont. So yeah, even this communist. Oh, there's a democracy right there. Proletarian dictatorship, just communist. Fascists. And of course, their colonies. Prussian constitutionalism, theocracy, Prussian constitutionalism, monarchy. Right, so very little in the way of that, and there's still theocracy too. I thought they switched. So the way I want to do the conversion is, if you've got any suggestions, send me a private message, because I don't want the, well, you can put anything you want in the comments, obviously. I'll let anybody put up whatever they want, as long as they're not, being super mean and inflammatory to people, because that's not cool. Unless it's really, really funny, but, whatever. That's a slippery slope there. Really what we want to, I kind of wanted to have a kind of behind the scenes voting process or suggestion process for this. Like, if you want any kind of conflict to happen, I'm pretty open to what can happen during this. This is going to be a different type of game, different type of era. So as long as it's not anything too zany, I'll think about it at least. And I may write several different options into the game depending on how scripted I have to make it. I'm going to have to make it pretty scripted to make it interesting, to make it more World War II-like. Obviously, neither of the Hearts of Iron games are as random as this, and certainly not nearly as random as the two previous games of this. So, and it's going to take me a while to do it, so just keep sending me suggestions if you think of anything. The American Civil War thing, they've been able to hold themselves together quite well. So that's a long shot to me at most. And really the only problems they've been having is up here, and they've been able to easily take care of that. The only reason I was helping them is because I was really bored, not because I thought they needed help. Although I might have helped turn the tide against the communists, which was the point. And any suggestions you have on sides, I think at this point, we've got a block in Europe, or a couple of blocks in Europe. We've got Occitania, we've got Germany, and Germany, Russia, Ukraine, Lithuania. Well, Ukraine is actually a separate block. Ukraine, the Netherlands, and then of course Modena is communist as well. I think Estonia, yeah, and then Asturias. So we've got a fairly strong European Comintern, just not really anything of the major power level. And then of course you've got our block with the Roman Empire and us. And then you've got Germany. You got the German bloc, which is them, Russia, Belgium, Lithuania, which is democracy. And then, of course, Hungary and Croatia and Serbia are kind of wild cards. Lombardia is a vassal of Germany. And then you have kind of another wild cards section of Occitania, France, and Switzerland, who are enemies of Germany. I saw them break their alliance with France. Germany break their alliance with France, so they're no longer allied with them. So the main part of Europe is going to be quite the battleground, and we're going to have a bit of political maneuvering to see who gets into what block. And then I'll probably make this Finland, and then have it be a vassal of the Netherlands. Or however I want to do that. I don't know. I really have to do that. And then we've got a place ripe for a civil war, in that these people don't really like each other. Asturias is allied with Portugal, but none of them are allied with each other. So, although Andalusia is no longer allied with me, but these two are allied with Rome, so Rome will probably leave them alone. And then Catalonia is probably going to get eaten in the process. So if I can set up some kind of big war in Iberia, that would be ideal. Is a potential battleground here in the Italian peninsula with Rome, rather the Papal States. I keep forgetting that the Papal States, Rome, Lombardia, and Modena. So that could be a potential flashpoint. It's the Balkans and Eastern Europe for the German Empire and Rome. Been back and forth on that. I mean, they didn't really directly fight each other a lot, but they did. And then Russia trying to reclaim its lost states. A lot of interesting things could happen there. Rome and Azerbaijan, and then Russia's got stakes in Azerbaijan as well. Turkish Caliphate can pretty much attack anybody here. Get revenge against Polotsk for all the times they've been against us, and of course us, them fighting us is a pretty obvious thing. So Eurasia's pretty well defined of how we can do it, but like I said, I'm really open to suggestions. It's like, oh yeah, a giant Siamese revolt, and then they join the Turkish Caliphate. You know, it's kind of far-fetched, but certainly something that could happen. I mean, I was worried about Indian sepoys the entire game, and if they had risen up, they probably would have beaten me. I mean, I was having huge problems with rebels before, and that was why I got switched into absolute monarchy. Well, not the rebels, but the event, because I was having my the dudes in power, reactionaries. And then South America is pretty well set up too. Yeah, I mean, you guys want to pick sides? Obviously, this is what we're focusing on here at the Celtic Empire. So I'm sure there are people who want us to be allies, and there's people who want us to be Axis, and there's, well, I don't think we can really fall into the common turn now, but allies or Axis. I think we're kind of closer to Axis right now, but we're kind of in our own group, because it's us and Rome against the world, basically, as it has been the entire game, for practical reasons. Since Crusader Kings, it's been the Byzantines and us, basically owning the countryside. So yeah, bros until the end, I suppose. But then again, maybe we have some kind of schism. It's like, oh no, we got the war of the red nations. They're red and we're red. We need to find out whose red is supreme, or something stupid like that. I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities here. So to cut this off, basically, well, the way I want to kind of format it is giving me like one suggestion per message. If you want to make multiple messages, go ahead. Say, I have a suggestion for Russia, this. I have a suggestion for how you should split up your empire, this. I have a suggestion for the war, for starting the war in Europe, you know, something like that. And ultimately, I'm going to have the final say in things, but things that I won't do, I'm not going to have a major switch in governments unless it's, like, I would accept a major switch in government for the Turkish Caliphate, for example, because they've been so stable, and then I'd have to write an event for it. I'm not going to just make the government different. They've been so stable, but under the surface, there's probably a lot of, and they just had such a strong military that they've dealt with it. So I can imagine, like, them having to switch to democracy or something over the course of the game. Or, you know, well, by major switch of governments, I mean, like, oh yeah, the German Empire becomes space government or something. Like, if we were switching us to communist, is the most obvious example I can see. We are as far from communism as you can get without being fascist. So, I would actually consider absolute monarchy to be further than the right-wing presidential dictatorship, because we are reactionaries, which is, you know, direct opposition to socialism and democracy. But really, just us switching to communism in America switching to fascism would actually make more sense, because I mean, Germany was a democracy before they got switched into fascism. Basically, any suggestions okay as long as it's interesting, but I'll rule certain ones out, just because I don't think it fits the, I guess, the narrative based on how I'm going to do things. Obviously, I'm going to leave it open enough so that I can lose. And honestly, having the outcome where I lose after crushing everything the entire game would be quite satisfying for me. That would mean that I've balanced the game either against me or in such a way that I make a mistake and lose. So that'll be it for this video. Remember, give me a private message. Just, you know, send me through YouTube, or, you know, however you want to do it. I don't know. I guess. No, just send it through YouTube. That way I can sort it out easier. Just say which country you want to do something, and, you know, try not to go too overboard. Send me like 50 of them. And then, of course, I'll be determining which game I want to play through tests and through how interesting I think I can make the modding. Regardless of which one is harder to mod, I'll probably pick the one that makes the game the most interesting. I know there are fans of Hearts of Iron 3 or Hearts of Iron 2, and I kind of like Hearts of Iron 2 better, but I'm not going to take that into account unless it's overwhelming that people want one game or the other. I would actually prefer to do Hearts of Iron 3 simply because it's a newer game and it's more relevant, but I tried to pick the latest one and stuff has popped up in between, like Divine Wind came out while I was doing this, while I was actually doing the EU3 part, and the expansion for this came out while I was doing this, while I was doing the Victoria 2 part, so basically starting ahead, you know, on par, and then of course Crusader Kings 2 came out well after I was finished with Crusader Kings, of course. So yeah, all the games I've been playing so far have been obsolete, and I guess it would only be appropriate to be playing an obsolete game, but I'd rather be working with a, I guess, timely game as much as I can, because with my luck, anything is like, oh yeah, there's an expansion for that, now you suck again. So I will see you well, when I get finished.